The Pirate's Danger Zone. The simulation began the moment he climbed into the pod. It was a good piece of work, capable of simulating everything but him actually being injured or dying. It's why he liked it so much. Unlike almost everything in life, it didn't pull punches. He settled into the seat and smiled as everything turned on. It was game time. HFY took a deep breath and flipped the required switches, turned a dial and engaged the lever. He scanned the readouts and frowned to see that one of the vacuum engines has a coolant leak. Luckily, things were easily sealed and it would be a simple 2-minute job. This kind of problem was far from unknown to him. He signaled a call for the mechanic to show up as he put up his feet. A few minutes and he'd be in the air. Of course, that's exactly when the alarm sounds. "Oh no, this was supposed to be a routine flight," he exclaims before his brow settles and he locks himself in and adjusts his seat. "I'll have to baby that engine." He powers up the ship and in moments he's in the air as the entire cockpit lurches. He glances to the scanner and sees dozens of hostile IFF signatures all throughout the atmosphere and something big slowly approaching. A flagship with fighter escort. He scans the secondary scanning display and winces. He's the only defensive fighter in the air. 13 on 1 and one of the 13 punches at a weight class so high that even a near miss will shred his ship like tinfoil. The sky is filled with foes, yet I do not fear, for I have direction, I have focus, I have purpose, HFY says to himself as he activates a few systems. Main burn laser powered up, plasma pulsars online, magnetic launchers ready and primed, all 14 shots accounted for. I have a target-rich environment and itchy trigger fingers. Woo! He hits the combat burners and the ship accelerates so hard that if not for the reinforcement in his seat and the belts holding him down, he'd have been torn out of it. His lips stretch back into a smile so huge that his every tooth gleams in anticipation. Hostile IFF zooming up from behind and he wrenches the controls back to climb. As expected, they follow. But he knows what to do. He overcharges 2 plasma shots and launches them ever so slightly forward, then spins the entire fighter 90 degrees as the slower ammunition comes close to hitting. The other ship veers away hard to avoid the mines he effectively places, and as he completes the loop, he's got a perfect shot with the world seeming to hang over his head. The main laser activates and a beam of burning light starts pouring into the enemy ship. Its defensive barriers flare into life and HFY clucks in annoyance. It's not unexpected, but a gimme would have been nice. The barrier is holding well, and HFY makes a snap decision. He engages his tertiary weapon systems, a bit of a lead so it hits, and the constant burn of the laser as a distraction and visual block. A tungsten rod moving 3 times the speed of sound slams into the enemy craft and shatters its engines. 1 down, 12 to go, 13 shots left. The rule of the day is accuracy, especially since the big one will probably need 2. The flare of a laser to his left draws his attention to his opponents. A flying V of 5 fighters are coming for him. He knew how to handle this. The most reinforced angle of his fighter is the front. A frontal charge has the best chance to deflect, resist, and dodge an attack. It also has a massive psychological effect. His main laser is burning hard on the lead opponent. Micro adjustments to the flight twist him out of the way of plasma blasts and several blistering fast magnetic rounds. It's the latter ones that are hard to dodge. Then, as the wake of the sonic boom rattles his ship, he launches the next magnetic round. The next to center ship shatters even as HFY fires his pulsars and veers away from crashing headlong into the enemy fighter. 2 of the 5 IFFs are gone. He pulls up and steals a glance at his crippled opponent. The plasma had reduced much of the ship to slag. The other 3 had scattered as the vaporization of a cloud is all the warning HFY gets as he tears the ship into a roll sideways. A colossal laser blast burns through where he was. Thankfully, it was a tight beam and he got some decent distance, so he's only got a fried paint job out of that. A flashing light has him reassess that statement. His engines were getting closer to overheating. Damn. The other three are now veering around him as the six he'd yet engaged were hitting opportunity targets. Damn. He needs to finish this fast and pick off the rest of the bastards. He hits the brakes and is nearly thrown from his seat as he swerves to the side to avoid another laser blast from the flagship bearing down from above like an angry god. That's what's got to go next. He redlines the afterburners and climbs. He hits a button and small touches of metal chaff blast out the sides and scramble his location to the centers as he alters direction. Lasers erupt in the path of his former course as he climbs higher and higher. Atmosphere ignites around his ship and he closes the scoops for his plasma launchers. He needs to keep the ammo in even as the cabin pressurizes and magnetically seals itself to protect him for the lack of atmosphere. The world he's defending is a gigantic orb behind him as the ship he's attacking looms like a furious mountain. First step, apply laser. The shields are exposed by the dispelling of the beam and Hugh grins. It surrounds the ship, it doesn't hug it. That means he can get right in there. Right down the throat, he says as he gives his engines another glance. Damn. It would be right on the day he's got a vacuum engine partially down. Hopefully, space itself will bleed of enough heat to keep it alive. He guns the engines and immediately gets every warning light from the compromised engine. He pushes it aside. If he doesn't drop this ship, then it drops hundreds, if not thousands of lives. He angles down and dodges a massive plasma shot, pulling up afterwards as the compromised engine already starts to die. Come on! Come on! Come on! He spits through his teeth before activating the laser. The point of interference is barely a kilometer away, a non-existent distance in space. He blasts through the shield and unloads with his pulsars. The first shot slams into the base of the laser array, reducing vital components to slag and causing an entire section of the ship to begin depressurizing. Two more oversaturated shots are all he can afford. Out of atmosphere, his pulsar can't do much, but what it can do is orders of magnitude beyond what it should do. He launches both shots one after another on a direct course to the highest energy concentration on the ship. The first shot burns almost all the way to the reactor of the flagship. The second that immediately follows causes a cataclysmic eruption. If sound could travel in a vacuum, then the explosion would have deafened Hugh for life. He tears away from the dying flagship and everything starts to fall apart. He pushed the engine too far. It's dead. A second series of explosions rock across the flagship and a chunk of shrapnel comes down. He manages to avoid it with only one engine, but he has to get back into the atmosphere yesterday. There are still too many enemy fighters around the planet. The atmosphere ignites around his vessel and the things going wrong start piling on. The overtaxed vacuum engine explodes and compromises his atmospheric engines. Shit, he's got to finish this fight on the ground. Right to the wire, Hugh says to himself before toggling the ship to shift. The wings pull down and sink into themselves as they reveal massive joints and hang off them. Braking thrusters start firing to slow his descent. He's lost almost all his speed. He needs to bring the fight to him. He can do it. He can do it. He turns his radio on and broadcasts on all channels. Hello, you raiding skid marks. This is Pilot Hugh 2. I've killed your way off the planet and all your friends. All your stuff is burning slag thanks to me, but you're in luck. My engines are busted. Come and get it. And there we go. Targets in range. He gloats to himself as he controls his descent and fires off his main laser. Of course it hits shields, but he follows it with a magnetic launch. It goes clean through the front of the ship and it spins away to its death. From the left and right, more are coming. So he spins left and gets a fast-firing solution before dropping and compensating. Plasma screams overhead as he launches 2 more rods. 2 more kills and everything shuts down. Simulation over. "What got me?" he asks. And the last few moments of his flight play on the screen above him from third person. One of the attacking enemy craft had nailed him with a magnetic launcher. "Damn," he says with a cluck of his tongue. Score? 1 flagship down and half the enemy fighters. 75%. Rank: Martyr. Score times 100. Complications times 2 each. No backup. No colony defenses. Defective engine. Total points 120,000 new high score. Hugh watches with a slight grin as Hugh 2 is placed at the top of the list. It would be more impressive if the entire list wasn't Hugh 2, but seeing as how he beat his last high score by 10,000 points, and the one before that by 50,000, he was happy to see his personal growth. He yanks a lever and all his settings and dials snap back to the basic position, and he blinks a little at the brighter light in the arcade. "Have fun?" his mother asks, and he smiles before rushing up to her for a hug. "Oh yeah, I managed to take out the enemy flagship and half the attacking force by myself with a compromised engine and no backup at all. It was great," he gushes. "That sounds like a lot of work and dangerous. Are you sure you want to be a pilot?" she asks him, and he nods. "Yeah, I mean, I want to help and protect. I just didn't think it would be so much fun." He gushes happily, and his mother giggles. "At least it makes you easy to find. You've come here every day ever since it opened fully," she says, and he can't tell if she's chiding him or not, but he's too happy to care. He beat his last score by a lot. "Sorry, actually, I'm not sorry because this is training. This is important. I can give back with this and help and be more than just a son or a husband or a brother. I have so much more to give than just that. You don't have to. No one will blame you if you just live well. A life of simple happiness isn't a bad one." "Maybe not, but I want to give back so much. We got so lucky, Mom, and the more I think about it, the more I want to be ready rather than lucky." Hugh says and nods. "I suppose that's just something I'll have to get used to. My son, the fighter pilot.